Cozy English Podcast.
Think confidently. Speak naturally.
You know, Lucas, I was looking through a traditional English grammar textbook last night, and honestly, it made my head hurt. It was just endless, terrifying charts of present perfect continuous and passive progressive infinitives to explain three tiny words: be, been, and being. Ugh, no wonder people freeze up in real conversations.
Ugh, tell me about it. Oof, it feels like you're being forced to calculate complex math equations in your head while a real human being is standing right in front of you, just waiting for an immediate answer.
Exactly. Like, hello, looking at a person while running formulas? If you are listening to us right now and you constantly mix up these three words, please stop stressing. It is really not because your English is bad. You've just been handed the wrong tools all this time. Today, Lucas and I are throwing those textbook formulas right out the window. Whoosh! We're giving you a simple visual master key called the three-room house framework to completely automate these words in your subconscious so you never have to sweat a grammar rule again.
Throwing out the textbooks? Phew, sign me up. Because let's be honest, trying to run a high-speed translation factory in your brain while socializing, it consumes twice as much mental energy as necessary. That is exactly why after a brief 10-minute chat using these structures, your brain feels completely wiped out. Like bam, totally exhausted.
Oh, it really does. And that, my friends, is exactly why we started this space. Welcoming, if you are tuning in for the very first time, to the Cozy English Podcast. I'm Nora.
And I'm Lucas. We grab a warm drink, sit down in our cozy corner, and pull back the curtain on how native speakers actually think, communicate, and breathe life into this language, completely skipping the stressful grammar drills so you can speak naturally.
Exactly. This is your safe space to slow down, build deep listening confidence, and grow your fluency muscle. And today's visual house model is a mental pattern you can break starting right now. Let's walk right up the front steps, bypass the confusion, and unlock room number 1.
Let's do it. Let's unlock the foundation of the house. Room number 1 belongs entirely to the raw, basic word be.
To visualize this clearly, think of room 1 as a completely timeless space. There are no clocks on the wall, no calendars, and no timelines. It's entirely static. The only object in this room is a large mirror. This mirror doesn't capture motion, actions, or transitions. It strictly reflects a state of existence, a core identity, a mindset, or a permanent characteristic.
That distinction between action and state is exactly where the value lies. When you look into this mirror, you're defining a condition rather than a process. And think about how we use this to describe our emotional world or our personal growth. For instance, you might say, I just want to be present when I'm hanging out with my family.
That is such a beautiful example because it perfectly illustrates the timeless state. You aren't tracking a physical movement or counting down hours on a clock. You are focusing purely on a static portrait of your mindset and intention. It's an anchor for who you want to be in that exact environment.
Exactly. It also dictates how we talk about our everyday internal struggles. Think about when you're caught in a difficult situation and you tell yourself it's hard to be patient when you're waiting for good news. You're describing a foundational condition of your mind. You're pointing at the mirror and defining an active state of existence, not executing a physical task.
Right. It also dictates how we give gentle advice or offer comfort to a friend. When you tell someone, be kind to yourself, be quiet, or be ready by noon, you're directing them to step into a specific mindset or condition. It's completely unmoving.
Now, let's talk about where speakers actually trip up here, because learners understand the word be. The error isn't a lack of knowledge, it's a spatial mismatch. People often try to force active, moving timelines into this static room. Oof, you'll hear things like, I will go to the market tomorrow. No.
Right. And that completely disrupts the flow of the sentence. Going to the market is a dynamic physical transition that belongs on a timeline. It cannot exist in front of a static identity mirror. If you are using the raw word be, you are setting a foundational condition, not executing an action.
It's a subtle shift, but a powerful one. Think about how we use it to describe general conditions of the world around us. For example, when we say, "It will be freezing tomorrow," some learners think, wait, isn't freezing an action? But in this context, freezing functions entirely as an adjective, describing a fixed condition of the weather.
Exactly. It's just a snapshot of the atmosphere. The same applies when we say the dinner should be delicious. We aren't tracking the mechanics of the cooking process in that moment. We're looking at the final, static reflection of the food's state in the mirror.
It's your anchor point for pure description. Once you realize that B is reserved for these timeless structural states of identity and condition, you stop overcomplicating your sentences. You let the word do its actual job, which is simply to connect a subject to its state of existence.
Now, before we leave the timeless mirror of room 1, let's do a quick practice check together.
Pause the audio for just 10 seconds. Look at your current surroundings and say one sentence out loud using the word be to describe a personal goal or an emotional mindset you want to focus on today. Do it right now.
Excellent! Now let's exit this timeless studio, walk down the corridor, and open the door to the room that typically causes the most hesitation for speakers. Welcome to room number 2, the domain of been.
Now, this is usually where speakers experience that brief, frustrating mental pause. The word feels heavy because textbooks spent weeks forcing you to memorize formulas for the perfect tenses, wry smile, which creates an unnecessary layer of anxiety when you're just trying to answer a question naturally over a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. The moment a learner feels they need to use been, they immediately start running structural checks in their head, which immediately kills their conversational rhythm. Let's replace that mechanical stress with a spatial layout. Inside room 2, the static mirror is gone. Instead, the entire room is defined by a long structural bridge. The far side of this bridge is anchored somewhere deep in your past, whether that's 3 hours ago, last month, or a decade ago. The near side connects directly to the exact spot where your feet are planted right now in the present moment.
It's a horizontal timeline. The sole purpose of this bridge is to show connection and duration. It answers a fundamental conversational question. How does your past experience explain your current situation? It carries history forward.
Let's look at how this changes your internal processing compared to the old analytical method. If you treat language like a math formula, your brain tries to stitch together independent components under pressure, leading to awkward structural errors like, "I am been cooking at home for weeks." You're trying to use a pure present tense modifier with a past experience token, and the pieces don't fit at all.
But when you look at it through the lens of the bridge, your perspective shifts into a warm, natural life update. You naturally use the structure to link your journey to your current habits. I've been trying to cook more at home lately. The past days and the present moment are no longer separate, isolated boxes. They're seamlessly joined by the bridge.
It completely streamlines your output. You're no longer calculating grammar rules, you're simply signaling to the listener that a shift in your lifestyle started a while ago and is still highly relevant to what you are doing right now. Think about how we share exciting travel updates with friends. You don't say they travel around Europe for 3 weeks. You want to show the whole journey across time. So you say they have been traveling around Europe for the last 3 weeks.
Exactly. That phrase instantly paints a picture of a continuous, lived experience. The bridge holds that entire 3-week adventure and carries it right into today's conversation.
There's also a structural characteristic of this room that speakers should notice intuitively. Been is an inherently connective word. Because its entire job is to bridge 2 points in time, it requires an anchor to hold it steady. It cannot float in isolation. Without an anchor from that specific family, the bridge collapses because it loses its connection to a fixed point in time.
Right. If you're anchoring the bridge to your present reality, you use have or has. If you're anchoring it to a point in the past that happened before another past event, you use had, as in, I had been walking for an hour before it started raining. Either way, it must hold hands with a member of that family.
Let's look at how this applies to everyday life transitions. Think about a sentence like, "We have been looking for a new apartment since spring. The search began months ago, traveled across the bridge, and is still actively occurring or influencing your thoughts today."
Or consider a more personal context. I've been dealing with a lot of interruptions today. It explains your current state of exhaustion or focus. The past hours directly inform your present reality.
It's a highly functional, fluid way to map time. Once you stop viewing it as a complex textbook formula and start viewing it as a simple bridge across your experiences, the hesitation completely disappears. You just step onto the bridge and let it carry your meaning forward.
Exactly. Let's lock this down before moving on. Think about your main project, a personal habit, or a lifestyle change you've made this week.
Take 10 seconds, pause the audio, and finish this sentence out loud. I have been. Tell us what you've been doing lately to connect your past week to your present moment. Try it now.
Perfect. Now let's contrast this long horizontal timeline with a room that operates on a completely different dimension, a space that ignores both static identity and historical duration to focus entirely on the volatile immediate present.
Welcome to room number 3, the word being. Inside this space, we leave the timeless mirrors and the long historical bridges behind. This room is entirely dominated by a live video feed capturing a single hyper-focused microsecond of reality. Room 3 is entirely obsessed with the immediate right now. Its primary function is to isolate temporary behavior, passing moods, or fleeting conditions that are happening around this specific moment, but are completely subject to change tomorrow. This is where we unlock contextual perspective, and it completely changes the nuance of your social interactions.
This concept of isolating temporary behavior is crucial for fluency because it directly affects how your tone and intentions are perceived by the people around you. Let's look at how this plays out in common social clashes to see the difference.
Imagine you are sitting down for dinner with a close friend or partner. They are usually incredibly warm, talkative, and engaging, but tonight they are suddenly snappy and dismissive.
You have two distinct ways to address this through your language.
Right. Let's look at the first option. If you pull from room 1, the static identity mirror, and say, "Why are you so cranky?" you are unconsciously making a statement about their core character. You are implying that being cranky is a permanent feature of who they are right now. It sounds like a personal insult. It immediately forces them to defend themselves, and it usually escalates the tension.
Yeah, it feels incredibly heavy and absolute. But look at what happens when you shift your perspective to room 3, the live security camera, and say, "Don't mind him, he's just being cranky because he missed lunch." By choosing being, you are executing a precise linguistic separation that protects the relationship.
You are telling everyone, I know his permanent identity is sweet and cooperative, but right now, on this temporary live camera feed, his current behavior is just a temporary reaction to hunger. It is an amazing tool for social diplomacy. It separates the person's core identity from their passing mood. Another great everyday example is when you notice someone withdrawing at a social gathering. If you say, "You're being incredibly quiet tonight, is everything okay?" you aren't labeling them as a permanently introverted or unsocial person. You are simply pointing at the live screen of tonight's dinner and asking about a passing condition.
Exactly. It signals to the listener that you recognize this behavior is just a temporary anomaly, not who they are fundamentally. And because this room is strictly focused on a live action unfolding right now, it naturally pairs with immediate present tense markers like am, is, or are to drive the context home.
Think about how frequently this subtle distinction saves us from misunderstandings in our daily relationships. Consider a phrase like, "Oh, my cat is being exceptionally affectionate this morning." That doesn't mean the cat's entire personality has permanently flipped. It means that during this specific window of time, its active behavior reflects heightened affection.
Or a simple phrase to diffuse a slippery situation. "Don't worry about her expression, she's just being playful." It isolates the performance of the joke from her actual intent. It gives the listener a clear signal that this is a passing state of affairs.
It provides instant clarity. Once you realize that being is your tool for capturing these temporary, real-time behavioral snapshots, you can use it to add precise nuance to your speech without over-explaining your intent.
Let's trigger that muscle memory for room 3 before we bring the whole house together.
Think about someone around you or even a pet who is doing something temporary right now.
Pause for 10 seconds and say a sentence out loud using being to describe a passing mood or behavior. Go ahead, give it a shot.
Now that we've toured all three spaces, let's look at how they interact in a real-world ecosystem. Instead of diagnosing broken textbook sentences, let's take a single baseline concept and run it through all three rooms to see how the meaning completely transforms depending on the space you choose.
That's the best way to see the system in action. Let's take a very common human attribute we all strive for: patience. Let's watch how a native speaker moves this attribute through the house to achieve three entirely different communicative goals.
Perfect. Let's start with room 1, the static mirror. If I say to myself or a friend, "It is vital to be patient when you're going through life transitions," what am I actually communicating?
You're defining a foundational expectation. You are looking into the mirror and stating that patience must be your core identity and mindset for that entire journey. It's an absolute standard.
Right. Now let's take that same attribute and move it into room 2, onto the horizontal experience bridge. If someone looks at you during a long, difficult process and says, "You have been incredibly patient with me over the last few weeks," how does the meaning shift?
Now you're acknowledging their track record. You are starting from the beginning of the challenge weeks ago, walking across the bridge of time and connecting their past consistency directly to their current relationship today. It's an expression of gratitude for earned consistency over time.
Exactly. Now let's drop that same concept right onto the live camera monitor of room 3. Imagine someone is waiting in a notoriously long, chaotic line at a coffee shop without complaining. If I turn to them immediately and say, "Thank you for being so patient right now," what am I highlighting?
You're isolating their active behavior in that specific microcrisis. You aren't reviewing their 5-year history, and you aren't just talking about abstract goals. You are pointing directly at the live screen and validating their composure in that exact microsecond.
It shows how a single word choice completely recalibrates the focus of your message. To help you hear how this shifts fluidly in real time, Nora and I are going to jump into a quick, realistic mixed role play. We are going to blend a messy personal day with a fast-moving work context. Watch how we jump between social and professional spaces seamlessly.
Lucas, I need you to be completely honest with me about this new channel idea.
Oh, honestly? I love it. I have been thinking about a similar concept all week, but I just hadn't found the right way to say it.
Oh, thank goodness. My neighbor's dog is being incredibly loud today, and between the barking and the lack of sleep, I felt like my brain wasn't working at all.
Don't worry. If we want this project to be a long-term success, we just have to trust the messy process.
And scene. Notice what happened there? There was absolutely no hesitation, no stopping to recall tense formulas or academic terms. The conversation simply traveled from a core request for honesty across a historical timeline of thinking about an idea into a live observation of a noisy neighbor and back to a long-term goal for the project.
It feels completely natural once you stop viewing the language as a series of rigid grammar tests and start viewing it as a fluid set of perspectives.
Exactly. True fluency isn't about memorizing more rules. It's about refining your instinct for context.
Now, before you close this audio file today, we want to challenge you to put this framework into immediate production.
Don't let your brain slip back into passive listening mode. Scroll down to the comment section right now and write out 3 clean, realistic sentences based on your own daily life, your routines or conversations with friends. One using the timeless condition of be, one using the experience bridge of been, and one isolating a temporary context with being.
Keep them natural, keep them realistic, and avoid over-explaining. Lucas and I will be spending time in the comments section over the next 24 hours interacting with your responses and providing direct feedback.
If you want to combine this spatial framework with a structured daily routine to completely eliminate mental translation lag, make sure to check out the next episode on your screen right now.
Click through, join us in the next space, and let's keep expanding your fluency. We'll see you there.
Take care, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.